Okay, so I needed my battery charger today because none of my newer and better battery chargers were either to be found or happened to be working. And I discovered that the wiring and the clips and things left a little bit to the imagination, as I'm sure you can see. So I brought my battery charger up to my bed to take it apart because I couldn't think of any better place to take apart a dirty, rust-filled object that might even have a few spiders living in it than on my bed. But seriously, what I was going to show you how to do today is how to rewire a battery charger so that it can be used for many more years. I actually went ahead and took this thing apart already and found a patent on the back of the ammeter, and I looked it up, and as far as I can tell, this battery charger was put together sometime around 1965. But it still works great, and it was free from the trash, so I'm going to go ahead and overhaul it and show you a little bit about how I did so. Okay, now there are a few things you'll need if you're planning to overhaul your own battery charger. Of course, you will need a battery charger suitable for overhauling. You need a screwdriver, a side cutters, a wire stripper, some replacement clamps, and cord. Now, you should make sure that you get cord that's appropriate for the type of battery charger you have. Since this is just a little 6-amp battery charger, I'm actually using a 16-gauge lamp cord here. Heavy for lamp cord, but it should be just perfect. If you have a battery charger that puts out 4 billion amps on, like, say, a start mode or something, you'll want to buy bigger, heavier cord and may actually have to go to an automotive parts shop. I actually went to a hardware store to buy these things. Okay, now as you can see here, I've taken some of my lamp cord and I've gone ahead and I've put it through the original strain relief in the side of the battery charger's outer casing here. And I went ahead and stripped the ends on the wiring as well. Now, some newer battery chargers have a third grounding pin on them, and it might not be a bad idea to add it to an old one, but I've never really noticed it missing on this one, so I'm not going to worry myself too much about it. I don't tend to use this thing in dangerous conditions where a ground would probably ever be necessary. So, now, as far as strain reliefs go, if you can reuse the older ones that were in your battery charger, that's definitely the way to go. If you can't, then you'll have to try to find some in an electrical supply store or some hardware stores, maybe even Radio Shack would carry these. When you get your battery charger apart, you'll find a number of different components inside. And while they'll differ a little from the ones you see here, the basic concepts are the same. Where AC power comes into the unit, you'll see a switch in most chargers. Unless, of course, you have a charger that just does one thing immediately when you plug it in. This switch is used to select different taps on the transformer, which are these wires right here. The different taps can be used for a variety of different things. Some chargers use them for 6 and 12 volt charging. Other chargers have starting windings in the transformer that can be used to provide momentary high current to start a vehicle, and still others actually do both. You also have a neutral connection. Now on the other side of the transformer, you'll find a couple of other components. You'll usually find an ammeter and a circuit breaker, as well as a diode or rectifier bridge, sometimes made of diodes, in the back of the unit. The wiring over here is a bit more complex, but only because you have to be mindful of the polarity, which we'll get to a little bit later. While we're working on the AC side of the charger circuit, it's time to put the plug together once you have everything wired up in the charger, which I've already done over here, as you can see. If your charger has a grounding pin, you should connect that to the green portion on your cord. The other two wires go to the silver-colored and brass-colored terminals, respectively. Now, it's not terribly important which terminal goes to which in most cases, but if your charger makes it clear that one obviously goes to one certain location in the charger, you should try to put it there. In this case, there is no ground on this charger, and they both go to the transformer, so it really doesn't matter. In fact, the plug on this charger wasn't even polarized, so again, it's not very important in the case of this unit. Depending on what kind of plug you purchased, it'll either screw together or it'll snap together. I would really suggest some kind of a ruggedized plug such as this one, because battery chargers don't always live the nicest and most gentle of lives. Now, once you have your charger almost completely wired up, you might be wondering how you should go about connecting the clip leads, especially if you're not absolutely sure where positive and negative are inside the unit. For this next step, you'll need a voltometer. Now, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you have a $5 meter with a DC volt scale, that's everything you need. I'm simply using this multimeter because it's what I had handy. All you have to do is set your meter to the voltage scale, turn it on, and connect the leads appropriately. Then, when you're ready, plug the charger in. Now in this case, as you can see, I've got the leads hooked up backwards because my meter is reading negative voltage. The charger is set to 6 volts at the moment. That's why it's only reading about 8.7 or 8.8 volts. If you have an analog meter and the needle appears to go backwards against the stop at the low end of the scale, reverse your leads and try again. Now I have the polarity corrected. When you've got the polarity correct and you know which wire is which, all you have to do is get your clip leads ready. I have mine right here, and get ready to wire up the lead. Now with leads like this, an end, one of the rubber end caps, right here, simply slides off, and then the wire slides in, and then, when you're ready, you fold it over to secure the wire. You want to make sure that your leads are crimped in very securely, and then when you're done, simply slide the rubber boot that you slid back off and onto the wire before you attached it. Simply slide that back down onto the terminal assembly. Do the same thing for the positive terminal next. Make sure to test for polarity once more when you get your cables assembled. And there you go. Your battery charger, which should now be fully reassembled, is ready and able to give you many more years of faithful and reliable service. Stay tuned next week when we talk about how to wash your bed sheets and bedding to get all the crap that fell out of the battery charger out of them.